So we've got an interesting day here. We've been, I think we were here about 10 years ago when we did the 10th anniversary. And so now what we want to do is do the 20th anniversary recognizing the Pinellas Trail. We've got maps pretty much spelling it out, but first off we want to start off with kind of recognizing some people that's here, and that'll be kind of in the program as we go along. I see Scott waving his hand. So we've got Karen Seel, the County Commission Chairman, who's here, will kind of take over in a couple of minutes. We've got Fred Marquis, who is, as you know, longtime County Administrator here, who's come down from Pasco to join us. In fact, I was going to point out we're actually starting to talk to Pasco County about building the trail up that way up by your house, so you can be an auxiliary ranger on that section. And then Commissioner Neil Brickfield is here, and then we got Bob LaSala, County Administrator, and let's see, Gene Halverson, we've got, and George Criticus, City Commissioner Clearwater. This is dangerous to do this. Chris Holmes, I don't see you, but you're out there, right? Oh, was that Santa Claus? Okay. Okay, Chris Holmes in the back there. Let's see, did I miss anybody that you might want to notice, that just because everybody's milling around here? The other is also wanted to recognize, you know, over the years, this has kind of been operated, maintained by the Parks Department for the county, and kind of want to recognize those people as well. Why don't you kind of raise your hand, or if you're good. Yeah, hey, Jerry Cummings, good. Okay. Okay. Kathy McSwain. Okay, so kind of we'll kind of recognize others as we go. If somebody that's up here kind of notices someone they want to recognize, we'll kind of do it that way, just because it's a little bit ad hoc. The other is that wanted to point out again that the Pinellas Trail started 20 years ago, and I think a lot of us that were working with it really weren't sure what we were. Well, we thought what we were doing, but it was way more than that. We first thought we were building, say, a recreation trail, which we did build. But then after a couple of years, we did surveys and found that most of the people, 2/3 of the people who are on the trail, were not just doing recreation, but they were actually getting exercise, but they were going somewhere with a purpose, to work, shopping, play, visiting people, this sort of thing. And so we started realizing that we had a lot more before us than just building a recreation facility. So we then started looking at how we would connect the various parts of the county together as a transportation facility that opened the door to us to using transportation money as well as just recreation money. And as the result, as you know now, we've got not only the Pinellas Trail going through, I think, 8 communities from St. Petersburg to Tarpon Springs, but we're now going further to the east. We've got maps over here on the right you can look at later. The plan is to eventually have a 75-mile loop through the whole county of the main trail, and that includes the Progress Energy on the east, the section we're building with Keystone Road in the north, all of the complete continuous loop. Now, I admit, not too many people are going to get on their bike and ride 75 miles, although some of the people here probably do that kind of daily, but that's not anything that we're looking at continuously. So if somebody gets on the trail at one point, they can continue for a while. That's the idea behind it, not to do the whole 75 miles in one day. But I'd also point out, and won't talk too much here in the front end, but that also the other map shows a lot of the other what you call connecting trails. So for instance, front of Pinellas Trail, you can go to Dunedin Beach, Clearwater Beach, you can go to this park. There's a lot, down in St. Petersburg, you've got connections. They're now building connections down through Clam Bayou to the south, down even to the Skyway. So you've got a lot of other connections. So this is a whole network, and I think the plan is to pretty much have a whole trail network in place that you can connect anywhere you want. And this 75-mile loop that I talked about, we're planning to have that done within the next 10 years. So at the 30-year anniversary, we'll maybe be celebrating that. Anyway, with that kind of said, what I think I'm going to do next is turn it over to Karen Seel, who's then going to do a little bit of the program recognizing Fred and that sort of thing. So Karen, you're on.
Good morning, and it's so nice that you all are here today. And you need to, each one of you needs to raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand, and then put it on your back and give yourself a pat. Thank you, because it took all of you in our entire community to make this happen. And what a wonderful day it is. The weather's pleasant. It's not too cold. We can each go on the trail. I wore my running shoes so that we can actually use it today, we hope. And we again want to congratulate you, because it takes everybody together to make all of these things happen. I do want to point out that the trail was funded in large part due to the Penny for Pinellas, and we want to thank you for your commitment to that, because that allowed us to build many parts of the trail, along with federal congestion mitigation air quality funding, and that provided funding for a lot of the trail overpasses, just so that you are aware where the funding came from and how important it was. But next, and most importantly, I get to recognize kind of the fathers of the trail. And first I want to mention and ask Bert Valery to come forward, because it was due to his dedicated efforts and his vision for improving the safety in this community after his tragic loss of his son that made this trail happen. So Bert.
Thanks very much. It's really great to see all these folks out here today and appreciating the trail as we do. I'll let other people do all the thanking. I think we've, over 20 years here, we've thanked every volunteer we could possibly thank. So I'll just say thank you all rather than get into Brian's predicament of trying to name names. I'd like to focus on the completing the loop, get the loop done. I think this is really an important thing, and unlike Brian, I'd like to see us maybe 10 years from now out here with our bike, and I'll issue a challenge. I'm 70 now, so I'll be 80 then if I make it. You know, we'll do that loop together. We'll walk, we'll jog, we'll bicycle, we'll rollerblade, and we'll do the whole county. I think that's the neat thing of this trail so far has been, you know, tying together the different parts of our county. I don't know how much, let's say, I don't know, St. Pete and that area down there had to do with maybe Tarpon Springs 20 or 30 years ago, but today they've got a lot to do with it because they're all part of the trail and all the towns that go in between. And we'll have the same thing happening over on the east side of the county. So I just encourage you all to encourage our commissioners to continue their promise that we'll have this thing done in 10 years. Obviously funding is an issue. Karen talks about different sources, but in this economy, things like that have a way of drying up and going to other places. So, you know, we've got to let them know that we as taxpayers here in Pinellas County want this thing to get done. We want the loop to be completed, and don't take it as a fait accompli. I hope that's the case, but we need to keep the word up, keep the pressure up, let them know we want it to be completed and we think it's so important. So again, thank you very much and appreciate it. Thank you.
I didn't want Bert to leave without his proclamation from the Board of County Commissioners. And I'll read all the whereases, and stick with me. They're very important, and kind of talk about the importance of the trail. Whereas in 1983, an idea was born from the tragic cycling death of young Bert Valery Jr. when his father helped form the Pinellas County Metropolitan Planning Organization's Bicycle Advisory Committee, later joining the Pedestrian Safety Committee and seeking a safe place for all citizens to enjoy bicycle riding, strolling, or jogging. And in 1990, the first 5-mile section of the Pinellas Trail opened after a 34-mile corridor of an abandoned CSX railroad right-of-way, and the county was identified as a fitting location. Thus, the vision was on its way to becoming a reality. And whereas, almost immediately, this first section connecting Taylor Park and Largo to Seminole City Park and Seminole became immensely popular, exceeding all expectations. And with the passage of the first penny for Pinellas 1-cent local option sales tax, plans were put into motion to connect the county from north to south with a continuous trail. And whereas Pinellas Trail is a unique greenway corridor linking some of the county's most picturesque parks, scenic coastal areas, and residential neighborhoods with an average of 90,000 persons using the trail each month, and whereas outdoor enthusiasts enjoy deep glades of ancient live oaks, just like here, trailing Spanish moss, quiet waterways, and tidal streams with all varieties of land and water birds, while 10 overpasses and 3 underpasses allow trail goers to safely breeze along, traveling above or underneath traffic at the busiest intersections. And whereas the completed St. Petersburg to Tarpon Springs Trail has come to be known as a priceless jewel on our Florida Sun Coast, one in which cyclists, skaters, joggers, and walkers enjoy Pinellas County's most picturesque parks and scenic coastal areas as this premier of urban trail winds its way from the county's most southern to its most northern point. Now therefore it be proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that December 4th, 2010 be recognized as Pinellas Trails 20th Anniversary Day. Congratulations.
Well, you did a good job getting through that. Thank you.
Thank you. And next I would like to recognize the other father of the trail. And when he retired from Pinellas County, the first time, he came back and helped us the second time. Fred Marquis was so instrumental in providing the leadership and urging the Board of County Commissioners and working with Brian Smith to make this trail a reality. And that's why when he retired, we renamed it the Fred Marquis Pinellas Trail. So Fred, would you like to come up?
It's amazing how some things change and some things never change. When we did this dedication 20 years ago, I had hair, and Brian had the same hat. It's always been that way. You know, I was blessed with being able to serve this county for 32 years and involved in a lot of different projects, ranging from the Bayside Bridge to many of our parks. But I will tell you, there is nothing that has pulled this community together and provided more joy for all of our citizens than the trail. And there's so many people that have worked on this that Karen already did the pat our backs, but that's so important, all the volunteers we had. But we recognize a lot of folks, but I have to basically tell you again that I could not have done my job without everything that Brian did over all these years on the trail. And I look forward, and I did not know this, I look forward to the trail being extended to Pinellas, to Pasco County. I had to move out there because I couldn't pay the taxes here any longer. So then that way we can get here. But I just commend everyone for being here and for the joy that this has provided. When we opened the first, I'll give you one little piece of history that we thought was kind of interesting. The biggest objections we initially had in the public hearings were from this same area where the first portion opened. You remember? And everybody just knew that the day the trail opened, every wino in Pinellas County was going to be in their backyard robbing them. Well, within the first month, we had an absolute flood of building permit activity where those same folks wanted to be able to cut gates in their back walls to have direct access. And that's what happened day after day after day as this trail progressed through the communities. It became an urban renewal project. It became a joy to the citizens project. It just basically pulled the whole community together, and there's nothing that will ever replace that. Thank you. Have a good day.
And one person who was not recognized that's here today with some very beautiful flags, and that's Shirley Miolis with Congressman Bill Young's office. Shirley?
Good morning, everyone. And before I do a presentation for my boss, I would like to upstage her. She's got on her running shoes. I'm starting a new fad. Don't think it'll work too well. Congressman Young could not be with you today, but he would like to honor Fred. Would Fred please come up? When he heard what was happening, he said he would be remiss if he didn't remember his dear friend and have a flag flown over the Capitol in Washington. I would like to read what it says. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of the Honorable C.W. Bill Young, Member of Congress. This flag was flown for Fred Marquis on the occasion of the 20th anniversary celebration of Fred Marquis Pinellas Trail, December the 4th, 2010, at John Taylor County Park in Largo, Florida. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, hon. It was a total surprise.
And I believe, is this for Scott Daniels? Pinellas Trails Inc. Scott, do you want to come forward?
Congressman also knows without volunteers like this and the help from him, this also couldn't be what it is, and he said that this deserves also a flag flown over the Capitol for the Pinellas Trail. At the request of the Honorable C.W. Bill Young, Member of Congress, this flag was flown on the occasion of the 20th anniversary celebration of the Fred Marquis Pinellas Trail to be presented to the Pinellas Trails Incorporated December the 4th, 2010. God bless you.
Thank you.
This thing has come out of the thing that's supposed to come back to you.
Well, Scott, don't leave yet. You're next. But first, I do want to recognize we have our newly elected Representative Larry Ahern with us as well. Larry. Well, as it's been mentioned, this trail would not be what it is without the endless hours and the efforts of all of our volunteers. But who's been at the forefront of our volunteers has been Scott Daniels, and we would not be where we are today without his advocacy, filling in the details, urging the volunteers to stay committed. And Scott, thank you so much for all that you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you, Commissioner Seel. You know, it's really very interesting that it's 20 years. 20 years is a very long time. Bert said that he's 70, it's been 20 years. I'm 60 and it's been 20 years. So we talked about the next 10 years when he'll be 80 and I'll be 70. And we'll be here with you. We invite you now. Mark your calendars and your day timers. We'll be here in December 2020 to celebrate not only the Loop, but all that is wonderful in Pinellas County. So what I want to talk to you about today is basically the citizens organization that many of you are a part of and know about. That's Pinellas Trails Inc., which is the citizens organization which started actually 2 years before 1990 in 1990, and we started in 1988. And it was the efforts of a lot of people over these 20 years that have brought us to today's culmination of this celebration. And so it's impossible to say everyone's name, but I'm going to say some names of some people who've been vital for the success. If you're standing, wave. If you're sitting, please stand up as I say your name, because these are the people who were in the leadership role for 20 years. And is Betty Foster here? All right, Betty Foster's husband, Ernie Foster, was our first president. Ernie has passed away, and Betty was going to try to be here to celebrate with us today from St. Petersburg. Please stand when I say your name, and please hold your applause so we can get through this. Tony McCoy, a past president. Tony? There. Dan Mann, past president, over here. Thanks for coming. Gene Halverson, please stand, has been involved and is still involved on our board of directors today. Cuma Glennon, please stand. Cuma helped to initiate the entire marketing and support of the trail program from the beginning. Ned Byer is here, and Ned's now over in Hillsborough County working private industry, but Ned was vital in the success of the trail. Chip Freeman, who is our present treasurer, is here. Jerry Cummings, trail supervisor for so many years. We really appreciate your support. Fred Green, a former treasurer, is here. These are the people who work all year long, year after year, to help the trail. Richard Valentine, our present secretary, is here. And Chip, did I just say Chip Freeman? I think I did. So I think everyone, please thank these people because they worked diligently for all these years for our support. Our citizens organization basically does the things that you want the trail to be. We raise the funds for the amenities, the water fountains, the bike racks, anything to do with safety. We're involved with all the municipal as well as county organizations. And without a doubt, our auxiliary volunteers are a major part of what we do. We raise money with our Trees for the Trail Fund, where you donate money for trees. 100% goes right to the trail for enhancing the trail, and we appreciate your donations for the Trees to the Trail Fund. But it's our auxiliary rangers, and if you're sitting, standing, if you're in the audience, please wave. These are the folks out there every day, all year long, supporting the Pinellas Trail. I want to applaud you completely. Thank you so much. Ken Bryan is here today, and I want Ken to come up and just give a few words. Ken is with the Florida Rails to Trails Conservancy and the National Rails to Trails Conservancy. And Ken has been a partner all along with our success in the Pinellas Trail because, as you know, people from all over the country come to Pinellas County not only to vacation and enjoy our beautiful beaches, but they come to enjoy the Pinellas Trail. And so, Ken, if you'd come over for a few minutes and just give a welcome from Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's good to be back here and seeing many friends I haven't seen for literally a decade, so it was good seeing you all. You've heard today about the important part this trail has played in the community. It absolutely has, but you may or may not be aware the huge role you've played statewide. You know, 20 years ago when promoting trails, it was a tough sell. I mean, just like Fred had said earlier, a lot of people didn't know what they were like. They didn't know what they felt like, what they looked like. So once you built your trail, we were able to load up county commissioners from other parts of the state, bring them here to Pinellas County and say, this is what a trail looks like. And they walk through the communities, they walk through the neighborhoods, they walk through the downtowns, and they go, oh yeah, we want one of those back in our community. The West Orange Trail, a big part of the reason why it's successful is because of the Pinellas Trail. The St. Mark's Trail, again, a big part. Anytime we needed to make the sell job on a county commission or a city commission, we loaded them up in vans and we brought them here to Pinellas County. So you very much played a large part in now a very successful statewide program. So pat yourself on the back for also helping other communities and not only yourself. So with that, I'll turn it back to Scott, and it's a beautiful day, and it's a lot colder in Tallahassee right now than it is here in Pinellas County.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. Thank you. One of the reasons we were hoping our Congress representatives would be here is that there's a national movement through the National Rails to Trails Conservancy about the importance of trails in these times and what it means to the community. On that note, I would like to ask a few testimonials because everyone could stand up and say something, but I want to tell you some nice stories because they're nice stories that happen every day on the Pinellas Trail here in Pinellas County. Maria, are you here? Please just stand up, Maria. Maria is 74 years old. She has been riding the Pinellas Trail for 20 years. She lives in the Bay Pines area, and she's on the trail every day. She's a testimonial for the success of the Pinellas Trail. Thank you, Maria. Connie and Al Howes. Connie and Al, please stand up so people can see you. Connie and Al are Mainers. They're from Maine, but they come and enjoy the time that they have here in Florida, here in Pinellas County. They live in Largo. They were here for the original opening, so they said they would definitely not miss today, 20 years later. And they volunteer at the Largo Medical Center. Thank you so much. One of the special aspects of Pinellas Trail Volunteers is they do a lot of other wonderful things for our community. I'd like to talk to David Koenig. David, where are you? Please wave. David's back there. Wave real high. David's 16 years old. He goes to Seminole High School. David is part of the band that was just from Seminole High School at the Macy's Day Parade. Representing Pinellas County for the first time in the Macy's Day Parade shown all over the world. David is another person who enjoys our Pinellas Trail and recognizes the value and the importance to himself, his family, and our community. And the last one, and I could do a lot more, but I know we don't have much time, is Morris McDonald. Morris, thank you for standing up. Morris McDonald is 73 years old. He lives in Palm Harbor. He has ridden the Pinellas Trail, and he's marked this 10,000 miles. 10,000 miles. Let's all have a cheer for that. You know, one of the things we do in life is we have goals. We have goals for ourselves. We have goals for our families. We have goals for our community. That's a remarkable goal. Let's see what you can come up with. Our aspect today is to remember this historic day, December in 2010. Keep it in mind. Also think about the fact that getting on the trail is the best thing you can do for the Pinellas Trail. Every time you're on the Pinellas Trail, it's better. Every time you're on the Pinellas Trail, it has the potential for being better. Our goal as a citizens group is to hear your voices, let our elected officials know what we need to do to keep the trail this special. Our volunteers involved, our volunteers joining in, so we have a volunteer table, and Grant and Judy are over there. They'll be glad to talk to you. Take an application for a friend. This is a networking experience. We live in networking times in 2010. It's different than 20 years ago, but actually it's better. thank you for coming out today. We appreciate your being here. We're going to ask the auxiliary volunteers to stay around for a photo op, but what we'd like to do at this point is to have a ribbon cutting with the elected officials and anyone that's been in a leadership role with Pinellas Trail. And we're going to cut a green ribbon over here to officially mark the 20th anniversary. Please remember that you all have a special sense of pride of the Pinellas Trail. This is our 2nd decade. Thank you for being here today. Have a wonderful day on the Pinellas Trail.
One, two.
A couple minutes.
That's right. You tell me when, Mary.
Hey, Curtis, what are you doing over there?
Everybody ready?
We're ready.
Come on, Santa, you're an elected official.
1, 2, 3, go.
20 years flies by so quickly, but what a great celebration it was today. Nice crowd, very enthusiastic, and full of joy and pride for this Pinellas Trail. There are what I call 2 fathers of the trail. There's Bert Valery, whose son died tragically in a bicycle accident, who took that tragedy and turned it into strong activism for pedestrian and bicycle safety, and formed the Bicycle Advisory Committee for the county. And then there's Fred Marquis, who, once we identified the penny for Pinellas, said that this was going to become an important community asset. An abandoned CSX railroad line was going to remain fallow, and he provided the leadership towards making this trail a reality.
There was, surprisingly enough, there was initially a lot of opposition. A lot of folks thought it would create crime problems, that it would create all kind of other problems. And it wasn't until this first phase actually opened, basically from here to Seminole Park. And there was such a huge turnout of joy that it just spread like a good cancer. It spread from here to all the rest of the segments of the trail. Then all the other communities jumped on board, and it just became almost like an overnight success. Prior to the concept of the trail opening, there were no safe places to ride. Anybody that wanted to either ride or jog or use kids in strollers, whatever, had to go compete with everything else that's on the sidewalk, and worse, compete with all the traffic on the streets. So the trail immediately offered an opportunity for people to have a safe environment in which to do good, healthy exercise. And that's been the lifeblood of it. It's provided a safe environment.
What does it mean to you, the fact that the board honored you by naming the trail?
I tear up. I tear up every time. It's a great honor.
Can you believe it's now been 20 years?
I can believe it's been longer than that we've been working on the project, because my son was killed in '83. So 83 to 90, which is when the first leg went in. So we had 7 years of trying to sell it to the county. And then, 20 years of getting the thing completed, one end to the other. So yeah, I'm so thankful to our residents, I guess, for all of the volunteer time. We come to these things and we try to thank the people that were involved in the initial stages and even today. And you can't name all the names. I mean, it's hard to imagine the number of people that it took just to get the Bicycle Advisory Committee started. So there's just so many people that have been part of this whole thing because they recognize it as something this is something that is really beneficial to everybody. So just lots of people to thank.
20 years goes by very quickly after you look backwards, but looking forward, it seemed far, far away. And it's really a remarkable situation when you think about that it's 20 years later, and the Pinellas Trail is such a mainstream part of our community and so well loved in our community that lots of people came out, lots of people support what we do, lots of people care about the trail and care about our community. I would sincerely encourage everyone who knows about the Pinellas Trail to get in touch with Pinellas County and become one of our volunteer auxiliary rangers. It's a minimum of 12 hours a month. You can walk the trail, you can ride the trail, you can sit at one of the intersections and be a representative of the Pinellas Trail to our citizens, to the visitors who come to our community, and let them know about the trail, answer questions. I mean, it's a remarkable opportunity to be outside and to be with the good people of Pinellas County.